Relentless rains have battered the mountains of Yunnan, transforming serene valleys and rivers into forces of chaos. This is a story of nature's raw power, reshaping an entire province in its wake. Swollen streams have torn through farmlands, obliterating bridges and carving new paths through hillside roads. The devastation is staggering, and the people of Yunnan are grappling with its aftermath. In the steep valleys of New Jiang and Diking, the floods struck with unrelenting force. Picture torrents of muddy water, thick with rocks and debris, surging into quiet towns. Homes were battered, some reduced to rubble. Bridges, once sturdy, buckled under the weight of the deluge. Roads, critical lifelines for these communities, crumbled as the slopes gave way. Local reports paint a grim picture. Dozens of homes damaged in New Jiang alone, with entire villages cut off from the outside world. The scale of this destruction is hard to fathom. Roads buried under landslides or simply washed away. Heavy machinery is out there now, clawing through the debris to restore access, but the task feels almost impossible. Supply convoys, loaded with food and essentials, are navigating treacherous cliffside paths just to reach those in need. Over in Daiki Prefecture, the situation is just as dire. Landslides have cascaded across mountain highways, blocking access to entire regions. Remote villages, perched high on rugged ridges, are now completely isolated. Imagine the frustration: thick fog cloaking the landscape, unstable slopes threatening every move, and rescue teams struggling to even assess the risks. These communities, already vulnerable, are now trapped, waiting for help that's painfully slow to arrive. And then there's Snow Mountain, a jewel of Yunnan's tourism. Its scenic trails, once bustling with visitors, are now submerged or destroyed. Approach roads are gone, wiped out by overflowing rivers. Hundreds of tourists were safely evacuated, but the guest houses and hotels that dotted the area have shut their doors. Local operators have no choice but to suspend trips until engineers can confirm the terrain is safe. It's a devastating blow to a region that thrives on its natural beauty. This is more than just a thing of floods. It's a reminder of how fragile our connection to the land can be. The people of Yunnan are resilient, but the road to recovery will be long and grueling. Stay tuned as we follow their efforts to rebuild in the face of this unrelenting disaster. The devastation wasn't just limited to homes and landscapes. Critical utility systems took a brutal hit, leaving communities grappling in the aftermath. Let's talk about the power grid first. Picture this. In the Dongjiang Valley, floodwaters didn't just rise, they roared through, tearing down power lines and ripping utility poles right out of the ground. An entire electrical substation was knocked offline, plunging whole neighborhoods into darkness. Can you imagine the chaos? No lights, no refrigeration, no way to charge a phone to call for help. Repair teams were stuck because the main roads were completely washed out. So, they got creative, using drones to scout the damage and hauling in generators to bring at least some power back. It wasn't until temporary systems rolled in that folks saw light again, but for days, entire districts were left in the dark, waiting, hoping. It's a stark reminder of how fragile our infrastructure can be when nature strikes. Then there's the communication breakdown, another gut punch. Telecom networks went silent as floodwaters and debris took out towers and buried fiber optic cables under piles of mud and rubble. Entire villages were cut off, completely isolated. Imagine being in one of those remote places, unable to reach family, friends, or emergency services for days. Relief teams were scrambling, trying to coordinate without reliable communication. They eventually brought in mobile units to patch things up, restoring at least some basic coverage. But let's be real, it's terrifying to think how quickly we can lose contact with the world when systems fail like that. It makes you appreciate the tech we take for granted. Now, let's talk about the waterways, because the situation there was just as dire. Rivers like the Dulong and its tributaries swelled to dangerous levels, churning with such force that they chewed through embankments and retaining walls like they were nothing. Debris, think massive logs and branches, piled up against bridge supports, causing even more structures to collapse under the pressure. Engineers were in a race against time, working around the clock to shore up buildings before they could be swept away. You can almost feel the urgency, right? The sheer power of those raging waters is hard to comprehend unless you've seen it firsthand. And if that wasn't enough, landslides made things even worse. Mountain towns like Bingjianglo and Yubong were completely cut off when roads turned into rivers of mud and rock. No way in, no way out. That meant no deliveries of essentials, grain, fuel, you name it. Farmers and shopkeepers watched their supplies shrink day by day, helpless until roads could be cleared. Can you imagine the frustration, the fear of running out of basics with no help in sight? It's a sobering picture of how quickly a disaster can disrupt every part of life, from the lights in your home to the food on your table. This is why resilience and preparation matter so much in the face of nature's fury. Emergency response teams are hard at work, focusing on reopening critical roads and pathways. Heavy machinery like bulldozers is carving through heaps of debris and stones, while military units assemble temporary bridges to restore connections. It's incredible to see the teamwork here. Every move is calculated to bring access back to cut-off communities. In villages where floodwaters have turned streets into rivers, crews are pumping out thick layers of mud to make areas safe for power restoration. Relief convoys are rolling in, loaded with essentials like tarps, food supplies, and clean drinking water, reaching the hardest-hit zones. You can feel the urgency in these efforts. It's about saving lives and rebuilding hope. The scale of destruction is staggering, and as someone covering these events, it's tough to see the toll on people's homes and lives. Damage reports show entire house walls torn away, streets choked with silt, and hillside fields completely washed out. Rural homes, often built from wood and brick, couldn't withstand the onslaught of debris-filled torrents. In towns, clogged drainage systems have left behind murky, stagnant pools that workers are clearing by hand, a grueling task. It's a reminder of how relentless nature can be, but also how resilient people are in the face of it. Road crews face a daunting challenge. Long stretches of pavement have been undermined by seeping floodwaters, leaving roads cracked and unstable. Guardrails dangle over cliffs eroded by the deluge, and drainage systems along roadsides are completely wrecked. Every reopened road feels like a small victory, but the threat of new landslides looms large, with rain-soaked hillsides ready to give way. It's a race against time, and you can't help but admire the engineers working under such pressure. For this region, this flood is a true trial of strength and adaptability. The same rugged terrain that draws visitors for its stunning views has become unpredictable under extreme weather. Recovery will be a long journey, measured in cleared pathways, rebuilt homes, and restored livelihoods. Thanks for tuning into Weather Watch, where we dive into the realities of nature's most powerful moments. If this video resonated with you, please give it a thumbs up, drop a comment, and subscribe to stay in the loop. Your support keeps us bringing you these stories. Hit the notification bell for calm, clear, and factual updates. A quick note, some footage here is illustrative and may not depict the exact events described. We'll see you in the next video. Stay informed and stay safe.